now tuned in to Hot Topics with Donna. And on this show, we do one thing: keep it real hot. That's honest, open, and transparent. If you didn't know, now you know. So sit back and unwind as we bring the vibe and a little bit of glorious sunshine to your heart, soul, and mind. Your lovely host, Hot Donna, will be with you in just a few moments. But while you wait, go ahead and set an atmosphere of peace in your space. If you can, cut the lights down low, get your hydration on, vibration zone. Cause tonight, you're about to receive some delicious food for your soul. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? It's about to get hot. You are indeed in the one and only place to be this evening. We appreciate you for joining us, and in just a few moments, we about to turn the heat all the way up. That's right. It's about to go down right now on Hot Topics with Donna. Show your virtual love by smashing that thumbs up and heart icon as many times as you can. And without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your host, the one and only Hot Donna.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor, here in a different location. Guys, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in on yesterday and every day that you tune in. Hey, Amanda, how are you? So I'm super excited about interviewing this young man today, guys. I really have had some amazing guests on Hot Topics with Donna, and they're steady coming in. So June, we're just getting started. July, we're going to turn up the heat even the more. But while I'm going to give you some announcements before we get started. As you know, I'm your host, Donna Taylor, here on Hot Topics with Donna. Hot stands for honest, open, and transparent. That's what we do here on Hot Topics with Donna. We keep it hot. We keep it hot, and we keep it honest, open, and transparent. So let me just tell you some things that Donna Taylor Network has coming up. As I've been telling you guys forever and a day seemed like, but I have finally finished my book that I have been writing. And so I am in the process of proofreading it now. This is how it's going to look. This is the cover. This is the front. And this is the back. I have an amazing team that did my cover. And I had amazing people edited my manuscript, and then I had an amazing man by the name of Anthony McCauley help me get it uploaded after my late friend Roger King read my manuscript. So I want to thank those people that have been a pivotal part in me on this journey. So as soon as I finish it, we will be announcing when we will have our book signing, and the book will be available on Amazon as well. So with that being said, I told you yesterday, a lot of you know that I have a nonprofit organization called Shape for Girls. We will be in the process of revamping that, getting started, getting back out into communities to empower young women to be entrepreneurs and to be the best individual that they can be as well. And so the word that I chose today for you, for my guest, is inspiration. And it comes from Psalms 145, 4-6, and it says, generation after generation will declare more of your greatness and discover more of your glory. Your magnificent splendor and the miracles of your majesty are my constant meditation. You're aspiring acts of power have for everyone taken, and I'm telling people everywhere about your excellence and greatness. And so we should want to be inspiration in people's lives all the time, because we never know what people are going through. And I try my best every day to be a better version of me, to inspire people just in any way that I can, to love people and meet people where they're at. But there comes a time in your life that when you are inspiring people, if it's starting to be draining, then you need to revamp and rethink and do things differently. So I am going to wait for my guest. I'm going to send him an invite, and we're just going to get started on Hot Topics with Donna. So let me see if he's on, and then we can get started. Okay, all right. I have already sent him the invite. Hopefully he will accept it soon. Yes. Let's get started. Hope you guys are staying hydrated today. I know it's supposed to be hot, but I have been inside chilling, doing
Hi.
absolutely nothing. Hello, how are you?
Wonderful. I'm traveling. How are you?
I'm good. Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not
Okay.
driving this time, so.
Okay, good. So thank you for tuning in with Hot Topics with Donna. I don't know if you heard the word that I chose today for you, and it's inspiration. And so I chose that word for you, and the word came from Psalms 145, 4 through 6. And I chose that word for you because you clearly are inspiration to people. You always giving motivational tidbits on your Facebook Live. And so why do you feel you do that? Because it's surely uplifting.
Wow. I started ministering or preaching, if you will, when I was 12 years old, actually. I am 33 now, and became a pastor, minister at 19, pastor when I was 20. And so for years, that's all I did was minister, minister, minister. And that's just been installed in me from grandparents to parents, all the other stuff. So all I knew was church. That's all I knew was church. I remember, and I always say this, I remember back in high school, I had someone tell me, it was a group of us, I was in theater, and but I did more of the scene setups and stuff like that. And we
Right.
sat around, and one girl told me, she said, James, she said, if you give up, there won't be any
Mm.
hope for the rest of us. And I just said,
Wow.
wow. And being in high school, like, what?
Wow.
you know, and not taking any glory or praise to myself,
Right,
but
right.
just because of how I carried myself to make sure that other people were good, to make sure everybody else had or knew their potential and knew
Yeah.
that God loved them, and so these past couple of years, I shifted from being the church's side, which I can't get away from the church's side. That's just it. But shifting more into the motivational aspect of saying, you know what, you can do more, you can be more, you can really go into your entrepreneurship, you can go
Yeah.
into whatever that is, an author, a singer, a painter, whatever it is, but you
Right.
can do more. And even being an inspiration as a pastor, to show people there's ministry outside the four walls. I've been
Absolutely.
I've told people several times, I'm not the typical pastor per se that always wears the collar and always
Right,
wear,
right.
the big $1,000 robes and stuff. I would put on a fitted, some t-shirts, some flip flops, some shorts, call it a day, and minister even in that, because God doesn't look at the outer appearance; He look at what's in the heart. And I show
Absolutely.
people that, hey, I can come down to where you are. I don't have to always, you know. Let's back up. I said this when I started my entertainment company. I said I want to be able to say the name Jesus without saying the name Jesus.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so that has always been the aspect of who I am, to show people the love of God, to show people that somebody still loves you, somebody cares, even if
Yes.
you don't even know who I am. Let me reach you where you are and bring you up to where I am, to show you who I love, who I serve, and go from
Wow.
there. So
And
yeah,
so, where do you reside? I think I remember encountering you through my cousin,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Lee
yeah.
Williams.
I
Yeah.
live in Gastonia, but we had ministry in Charlotte. We just brought the church to Gastonia this year, so I'm
Wow.
mostly in the Charlotte area, and around. around that area. I'm born in South Carolina, family in Charleston, St. Stephen, all that down that way. In the Geechee, the Geechee world.
Well,
Um,
I have family in South Carolina too, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
know about
So
that good old rice pudding they have down
right,
there.
all of that. Rice and
Yes,
gravy with collards, and I'm a country boy at heart.
yes.
Um, but nevertheless, yeah. But I'm in Charlotte.
But so while you were talking about ministry, and then we'll come back and talk about your entertainment company, and it was so profound that you said that, you, because I was going to ask you how long you've been ministry, and it's so profound that you said you meet people where they're at, and and nowadays we have to do that if we love Christ, if we want to build His kingdom. We can't expect everyone to go and come to the church,
Right, right,
if
right.
you will. And so for you to, be able to be transparent, like you said, you have to go in your hoodie to reach whoever you need to reach. That's how you have to do. But do you ever get any backlash, for people like, oh, well, you shouldn't be, doing, dressing this way, because God said, come as you are. He's
I,
looking
I,
at the heart.
I did. I did. I got a lot of backlash when I started a church called Time of Deliverance Apostolic Church,
Right,
and I shifted now 7 years ago. We just celebrated 7 year anniversary to church untraditional. So that's the name of the church. So people are like,
right,
"What do you church untraditional?" And they was all this, y'all just
right,
what you
right,
really preaching there, what you really teaching. It's like it's still sound doctrine. It's still about God. It's still about Jesus.
right, right,
But we're more so stamping out that religious aspect, still understanding what holiness is, still understanding that, we need a relationship with God, and not so much with tradition, because we're so busy trying to please man's tradition
yes,
that we move out of the will of what God wants us to do. Is God
right,
pleased
right,
with you? Is God happy with you? Is He smiling on you, or are you so caught up into, is the pastor gonna be mad? Is the bishop gonna be upset because I didn't do this over here? And a lot of that, I have been in a place where, not that I don't care. It's just that I had to understand that there's more to me than just being behind a pulpit, you know, and preaching to everybody the
right,
same
right,
people over and over again, the same folk over and over again, and to really broaden my ministry and really, really broaden my message and say, you know what, let me meet them where they are. And I've started doing more virtual stuff. That's why I do my morning coffees every morning, to meet people there and say, hey, they still need a word on Monday after they leave church on Sunday. They might wake up to some craziness Monday, Tuesday morning.
and you know how that is too. But
So
do you find, that you reach people where they are, being who you are, being able to be honest, open, and transparent, being able to say, if I have to go to the park, in some flip flops and some shorts and stuff, have you had the have people received you?
yes, they received me more because of not walking as this stern, stuck up person, and I've always just realized I had to be who I was.
Right,
I was insecure a lot about myself because I wanted to be like all the other preachers. I wanted to be
right,
in the clique, and to be liked by everybody. But I had to realize that I'm not like everyone, So I'll dye
right.
my beard to a blonde color, I'll put a wig on, that nature, and just really understand, hey, God loves you just as where you are, which was, so I've received
Amen.
backlash because of it. They're like, well, what kind of preacher are you? What kind of this, my grandmother told me a while back, she was like, well, you should wear a suit and tie and go to the church. And I'm like, it's hot. I don't want that sweat in my neck and all of
Right,
that.
right, right,
But
right,
also being transparent of showing people that preachers, ministers, they still have lives. They're still human, and going through divorce, going through ridicule, going through, dealing with stuff with children and having to deal with
right,
certain stuff that's there. It's you still have to understand that you're still human. You still bleed
right.
like everybody else. You still
And
cry just
and
like
that's the big, and Jay, you are so for you to be able to share, like, going through a divorce, because I feel a lot of times, and, this is just my opinion, that sometimes I feel pastors get so caught up in leadership, get so caught up in their titles, that they give people, Christians, saved and unsaved, the false perception that they got it all together and that they cover up their
Right.
divorce, they cover
Right.
up their shortcomings behind
Right.
the cloth, behind the pulpit, because they feel they don't want people to know, hey, I'm
Right.
struggling in this area, yet I'm still a pastor.
Right. That's right. That's it. And that's the main thing. And they have to understand there are people that, go home after, or pastors or ministers, if you will, that go home after church is over with and they're still dealing with the same thing. You know,
I used to be one of those people. I used to be one of those people, because you think you go to church and you say, hey, they are supposed to fix me. When I come
yep,
out, I'm supposed to be great. But then when I had to get by myself with my
right,
father, then he taught me how to lean on him. So when I leave church, I am still changed, because I don't depend on the pastor to help
right.
get me delivered
That's
or
it.
to help me. I go to get the word, but I had to learn that I need to do this on my own, because what if the pastor mess up?
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And
What
I've
if
said
he
that.
mess up?
I've said that. I tell my congregation all the time. I said, I'm just a man. Uh,
Right.
and literally and figuratively. And you never know. I may have a shortcoming, or I may fall short. At the end of the day, you should have a relationship with God for yourself. We don't
Right.
come to church for the pastor, or we don't come to church for a show, or we don't come to church
Mm.
to make sure I look good or you look good, or
Right. Right.
serve and worship me. At the end of the day, after I finish reading or preaching that message, or ministering to you, or teaching it to you, did you go back and read the word for yourself? Did you take
Right.
and take that word for yourself to where you can apply what I just preached on for your own self? And so, and like I said, we have to understand that as Christians, we go through, we do
Mm.
with things, and that's one thing I want to do with pastors, to have a conversation and say, hey, we have some things that we are dealing with. Some people are still dealing with things they haven't been delivered from. You know,
Mm.
they've been struggling with for years, but they still go and preach because it's like, I got to do this, man. I got to be able to do what God told me to do. But then you bleed. You're preaching and bleeding at the same time. Oh, that was good. I'm gonna calm myself down. you know,
Okay, wait. So so you finna open a whole cans of worms.
right?
So I know,
Yes.
but why do preachers do that? Why do they stand behind the pulpit
Mm,
knowing they still have stuff they need to be delivered from, but yet and still pull the dagger out, if you will, on Christians that's
mm,
still struggling in an area, but you haven't even been delivered, or even haven't allowed God to fully deliver you, but you
mm.
preaching every Sunday.
Sometimes for people it's a show, and some people like the accolades. Some people like that the pump and the pride from the people. They that high, and that praise from the people. They love that drive. Sometimes people feel as though, or some preachers or pastors, if you will, they feel as though, well, if I do this is something I can look forward to, because some people go home and they don't have nothing to look forward to. Some pastors go home and they're dealing with some issues with their wives, or they're dealing with issues from their husbands. They're dealing with some struggles down there, and they know, when I go home, I don't have this high. I don't have
Hmm.
this drive. So the place where I know I can thrive from it and feel
Right.
like somebody wants me, or feel like somebody cares, or I can hide behind the praises. I can hide behind
Mm.
the accolades, and therefore I won't have to really expose who I am. So there's a lot of exposing going on, in the social media world and things of that nature. But there are people that are broken. There are people that
Yes.
have dealt with things in their younger years. I remember I did a documentary a long time ago, called Many Faces of a Challenge,
Right.
where people have dealt with stuff from their childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and they've taken it into their adult life, and
And yeah.
they either masked it,
Mm-hmm.
or they either put it under the rug and act like it
Yes.
never happened.
Never happened.
Acting upon stuff that they had put under the rug or swept to the side. And so now it's like they're angry. You have a lot of pastors or preachers that are angry. You know,
Yes.
you have a lot of men that will rather be womanizers because they may have mama issues, you know, or they may have some
Wow.
issues going up through breakups and stuff from before. So there's a lot of different things that's there that may cause people to be who they are. And as people, you know, as Christians, we got to understand that, yeah, God will give us pastors after his own heart, which is good. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that we still are human. We still have some things that we're dealing with. Some of us still have sleepless nights. Some people deal with anxiety. Some people still have
Yes. Yes.
PTSD, you know, and they only feel as though, hey, if I preach, I'll be all right. But you still got to have some soul searching in the
But you
middle
know,
of it all.
but that's the thing. Even with just walking an everyday Christian walk, like you said, sometimes when we want change, we only want to give God the surface stuff. We
Right,
don't want Him to go in the crevices of our lives to see
right,
those past childhood traumas or whatever we may be going through. And until we do that, then God can truly use us for His glory. But you can only go so far being superficial before He starts taking the mask off and start exposing whether it's a pastor or a Christian or whomever.
that's it. That's it. That's it. And that's the main thing. You know, I always say, some people say grace runs out, but even in our, you know, wrong days and crazy days, God still gives us grace and
Yes,
mercy with all. You know, but I always tell people it's never too late to change. It's never too late to cry out. It's never too late to say, you know what, I got a problem, I got an issue that I need to do. I remember a few years back, I was dealing with something so crazy, and I took a whole month and a half off. I sat myself down. I had other people come in and preach because I was dealing with something, and I said,
right.
God, I said I didn't want to preach, and I said didn't want to preach and bleed on the people. I'm preaching, but then I'm preaching preaching in
Mm,
anger. You know, I'm struggling with something where I'm like, God, should I forgive? Should I have revenge? What should I do? You know, and I didn't want to spew that
right.
out on my congregation. So I said, you know what? I voluntarily said, let me sit myself
Absolutely.
down and really reevaluate this situation and figure out what's going on with James. You know, not Pastor, but what's going
Right.
on with James? What's going on with Jay?
Absolutely.
He's got
Absolutely.
issues going on. Yeah,
But pastors won't do that. You would have very few that would sit down because they feel as if they're inadequate. To me, that's honorable because when you're saying I have some issues with myself
right,
and I don't want to pour my issues out on a congregation because there
right.
may be somebody in there that may not be able to handle my truth
That's
right
it.
now.
That's it.
And so then you're going to damage them and then they can go back out when they've came so far.
That's it. That's it. That's it. And that's a good thing you said. Everybody can handle your truth. Everybody.
No, mm-mm.
A lot of people don't know my story. I very select people. I just recently, this year, I started talking about my divorce. Even though my divorce has been settled for like a couple years now,
Right.
3 years. I was 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years. And I just actually got the nerve to even
Mm,
start talking about it
wow.
because that was a traumatic part in my life that people didn't know about. You know, people knew I
Hmm.
was divorced, but they didn't know the effects of how it had on me. People didn't
Right.
know, you know, I don't know who my biological father is. So there's a lot of stuff that I dealt with even in that sense that I
Hmm.
said, you know, I very selectively I had to share. I would say, God, show me who I need to tell my testimony to,
Right.
or show me
Right.
who I need to talk to, because everybody can't. Some people take your stuff and go on gossip. One of the most gossiping people is church people.
You are so you're right. And and the thing about what I want to ask you, because I'm divorced as well, and now here I am a widow. But
Right.
when you were going through your divorce and being a pastor,
Yes.
did you feel the reason why you kept it to yourself is because of, like you said, the backlash? Because you hear pastors preach about divorce and marriage and all this kind of stuff, but at the same time, did you feel like even though it was none of their business, that you still was going to be ridiculed because they're like, oh, well, he's preaching, and now look at him. And like you said, the most critical people are the people that set up in the church.
Yeah, it wasn't more so for me. It wasn't more so for me about the people around me or other pastors and all the other stuff. For me, it was my congregation, and
Right.
I look at people as souls at the end of the day, and with me being a pastor, and then my wife at the time was a minister, assistant pastor as well. I didn't want the people to choose sides. You know,
Absolutely.
it ended up being turning into that. So a lot of stuff, I went silent, and I
Mm.
was hiding about a lot of stuff because I didn't want anybody to choose sides. One of my former members was like, well, well, you should have said this, and you should. I said, well, even if I said it, people are gonna believe what they want to believe. You know,
Absolutely.
I still wanted to make sure that people's souls, were saved. It's saved and stay saved. Regardless of what we had going on.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it spewed out into the church. So it was more so I didn't want the backlash, from how my congregation was going to accept. And so, with stuff happening, not to, put anything on her or anything of that nature, but with stuff that was said and things that were going on. And, I remember one night, I always tell this testimony. I remember one night I was sitting in my bed and I read a status that was posted about me. And I was just, I had it all, Donald, I had it all written out, paragraph after paragraph. I was ready to post it, but the
He
Holy
would do
Spirit
it. Yes,
would
he will.
not allow me to post everything. And that night, literally that night, that was the first time I could ever say that I was so mad with God. I was ticked off with God. I
Wow.
cried and cried, and I said, God, why? Why? And I said, God, why can I not retaliate? Why can I not say anything? Why,
Right, right,
you know, I
right,
can't. And so people say, well, you can't be mad at God. You can't question God. I beg to differ. God
yeah,
gives, he said, you can be angry, but sin not. And
right,
sometimes
absolutely.
ask God questions like, God, why am I going through this? Why does this even have to
Hmm.
happen? You know, and
Right.
so I dealt with that for the longest, and God told
Mm.
me, he said, I'll show them just who you are. Just
Wow.
stay quiet. I'll show them just who you are. And sure enough, years later, people are like, well, why you didn't? Well, this coming out and that's going on, and well, why you didn't say that? Da, 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 da. I said, well, see, I wasn't gonna say nothing because at the end of the day, what first
Hmm.
and foremost, as a man, that's the mother of my children. As
Right,
as
absolutely.
a pastor, that's still a soul, and
Yeah.
I don't want to cause anybody to say, oh, well, pastor said, oh, well, Jay said, and people
Right.
play sides. They'll come to me and say, oh, well, she said this.
Absolutely.
They'll say, oh, Jay said this. No, we don't cut all that out.
But Jay,
So,
so let me ask you this: how? Because you're a man. Because a lot of times we don't hear men speak from a place of divorce and a place of brokenness. So how did in your divorce, going through your divorce, how did you had how did you heal? What was your methods in healing? Because like I said, a lot of times, like you said, men, they try to be macho because that's just how we are taught, or you guys are taught, if you will. And women, we are more emotional, some of us, but we handle it different. But as a man, speaking from a man, how was that experience for you?
for me, I, I'm a type of person. I hold on to a lot of stuff. I don't talk a lot. Well,
Right,
I
right.
talk about my issues, and so a lot of writing, and that's where my entertainment company was birthed out from, because I was able to write my plays and write movies and write different things that. Because as a pastor, you can't cuss people out like you want to cuss out. So so I wrote a lot of my plays and a lot of different stuff that I had, and I placed them as characters, and I wrote what I wanted to say to different people as the characters. So that
Oh,
but my outlet,
right.
and so with having my entertainment company, I birthed it out to say, hey, this is real stuff. People go through things. People, as before we can talk about church, let's talk about as a man, as a woman. But as a man, sometimes men don't have an outlet like that, like some people think we do, because
Right.
some are conditioned to just hold on to stuff. And we may go into our secret place and cry. We may go into a place of just being angry, and so I went through that place of being angry. I went to that place of
Right.
crying. I went to that place of like, God, feeling lonely, even though
Mhm.
have people say, you can talk to me, but I didn't.
Right, right.
So as a man, my healing place was my writing. I talked to some
Wow.
of my overseer, at my overseer at the time. I talked to them. There are things that I released, and even my overseer now, I told her, I said, she grabbed me at a place where I was like, I was done with church, I was done with people, I was
Wow.
done with everything, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was preparing somebody else to take over the church, and I was like, nah, I'm going. Y'all do this. I'm good. Y'all got this.
Right,
And luckily, I was able to get my sanity back. Because
right, right.
things would drive a man insane. Drive a
Oh,
man, and
absolutely.
and there, you never know why, you dealing with certain things in relationships because you haven't healed from stuff from that you may have dealt with a year ago, or you might be dealing
Right.
with a breakup from some certain things. So yeah, for me, my healing was just really releasing that off of in my writing and really getting it off of me, and praying about it, crying it out, and saying, hey, I remember going, and I'm done after. I remember coming to the pulpit one day, and I told God, I can't do this. I was
Mm.
about to not preach that day, and I
Wow.
cried before I got to the podium, and I said, God, I can't do this. And out of nowhere, I got my strength. Thank you, Lord. But
Right,
that
right.
was a moment of saying, God, I'm weak. I can imagine how Jesus was on the cross, said, Father, take this cup from me.
Yes.
And how he could be like on the verge of saying, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah.
But just, I'm so glad that you didn't throw in the towel because truly from the beginning, people had already told you, like, I need you to go. I need you to go on in order for me to survive. And did that ever play in your head where you thought about like these people, when you were younger, like, hey, you must make it. You must pave the way. But when you're paving the way, the beauty of it that I see is that you're paving the way, even in your brokenness,
Mm,
even when you don't even understand, even when you want to throw in the towel. And see, for men, it's I always say men need to level up, if you will.
yeah, yeah,
They need to level up with their baggage. They need to level up with their shortcomings. They need to level up with their failures, whether it's been a divorce, a breakup, whatever the case may be, because when they level up, then God can say, all right, my son,
right,
I can use you now. I can rebuild you where you thought this divorce was going to kill you, where you
right,
thought when she walked out, it was going to kill you.
right,
And so when a man can take ownership and say, I'm broken, to
right.
me, that's sexy. That's
Being
being a real man instead of
right,
saying, well, I got it all together. I don't,
right,
no, because then
right.
you can't be good for anyone else, not alone yourself. You
That's
can't
it.
be good for your children.
That's
You
it.
can't be good for your family. You can't be good for your friends because you're still trying to say, well, they did or they did. You know what? When you're going through breakups, everybody did.
That's it. That's it.
Everybody did. And the thing you can only do is take ownership for your part.
That's right. That's it. That's it. And that's the main thing. Honesty is the biggest thing. And to be honest with yourself, before you can just run and say, I'm gonna be honest with them or with her,
Right.
you gotta be honest with yourself. Say, hey, there was a part that I have played. There, have you apologized to yourself? Is the main thing. I always tell people, apologize to yourself first
Right.
and foremost before you always going to run to ask for forgiveness to other people because you allowed yourself to do this or you allowed yourself to be in this situation. The Bible says, let not your heart be troubled. And that first
Right.
part, let not, is what you have allowed yourself to get into or allowed yourself to be broken, or you not the one say allow yourself, you cause yourself to stay in the brokenness and
Mm.
want to be healed and not want to be delivered from that. It's not always being delivered from smoking and drinking and carrying on. Be delivered from being broken. Being
And
delivered from being
yeah,
hurt, being delivered from holding a grudge. And
yeah.
that's the main thing that we got to look at for ourselves. Apologize. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, I apologize to you. Come on here." and,
and, and that reminds me, you on June 5th, I like this post you put. You said, stop having excuses to not cut certain folks off. They did you wrong. They stole your sanity. They cripple your steps from moving forward. But yet you hold on to them, access to you in any way, social media, phone, text, etc. Unless you're stuck catering a soul tide that you don't want to get rid of. But why do we do that? Why do we hold on with people when we know God's saying cut them loose?
It's I always say I talk about soul ties, but I also talk about emotional ties, because some people are stuck in the emotional, how they made them feel, how they
Right.
feel, just being around them, or they're stuck on what they used to be or how they used to be, or I always talk about, we fall in love with the potential of what a person could be, you
Mm-hmm.
know because of that, it's a lot of relationships that are still going forward, and you need to let it go. You need to cut it off. You need to say, you know what, I'm done. I don't need
Yeah.
to be on social media. We don't need to have friendship on social media. We don't need to have
Right.
friendship on phone, text, email,
Right.
whatever. But some people feel as though, as long as I still have that open door, maybe they'll come back. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he'll, just maybe we might mend that opportunity, and as long as we keep making excuses, we can put it all together and make it sound good and wrap it up in some pretty paper and all the other stuff.
Right. Right. Right.
If it's a duck, it quack like a duck, it walk like a duck. At the end of
It's
the
a
day,
duck. It's a duck.
it's a duck. And as long
But
as we're entertaining the ducks in our lives, as long as we're entertaining the leeches in our lives, we talk about how bad they are. We talk about how crazy they made us. We talk about domestic violence. We talk about all
mhm.
this other stuff of what they do, but yet we still want to hold on to them. And at the end of the day, then we tell God, oh God, and some of us say, oh God, bless this relationship, and God's like, I can't bless something that I didn't ordain. Oh
Exactly.
God, oh God, take them away from us, and oh God, get me out of this situation. And God's like, I've given you the boat, I've given you the raft, I've given you the ladder
And you still stuck.
to let it go. So at the end of the day, you want to keep holding on to it. You still stuck. You still have a soul tie. You still have an emotional attachment. And as long as you still have those ties, those knots, you're going to still keep going back and forth, keep going back and forth. You're catering to them, not just physically, you're catering to them spiritually. And as
Yes.
long as you're catering to them spiritually, you're going to want to keep going back.
And can soul ties be with friends, like
Yes.
like friends, a
Yes.
friends? But this is the thing. I always tell people that when we rely so much on the human thing to feed our spirits, to feed our souls, to always giving us, well, you should be doing this or you should do this, or they become almost like their God, like their idol.
Yes, yes, and that's the main thing. I tell people it's not always just relationships. It's not always boyfriend, girlfriends. It's
Right.
not husbands, wives. It's not all that. It could be a friendship. I have very few best friends. I always tell all the
Yes.
people, best friend, sister, brother, whomever. You got to be so careful with a lot of that stuff. Check your circles. Check your circle, because if you got people that's jealous of you, you got people that may be doing sneaky stuff behind your back. You might talk about something about how good and happy you are, and then they just disregard what you got to say, and they're
Right.
talking about themselves. You got to be careful of self-centered people. And
Right.
as long as you are feel as though I need to have them, I gotta have them, and it's some form of, what should I say, acceptance. Like you want to have
Mhm.
companionship with a friend, or feeling accepted by somebody.
Right. Right.
So I'm very keen on who I have connections with. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I don't want to be connected to something. And I preached this message a while back. We were doing church at my house, and I preached this message at a while back, and I said, be careful what you plug into. What's your source?
Mm.
If you have a lamp, if you have if you're a lamp per se, and you have a light bulb, when you plug
Right.
that plug into the outlet, it's supposed to light up. Here it is, we're trying to plug into deformed or discombobulated sources that are there, and they're not feeding us, they're not
No.
giving,
No.
they're not helping us to be that light in the land. So we got to be so careful as to what we do, how we do, who we connect to, because they're not giving us anything. You're feeding them, you're giving them energy, you're having them do all this crazy stuff for you, but yet
Right.
you're not doing anything.
Right. And
Anything for
so do you have your own church, or are you are the senior pastor of another church as well?
Now I have my own church. We're in the process. Actually, we're in the process of putting together a virtual church as well.
Oh
Because
wow.
people aren't coming. Well, people are coming to the physical church, but because of stuff that's going on with COVID and
Yeah.
everybody got excuses on why I can't come to church, and stuff is now going more virtual now. We're putting together a virtual stream as well, to where people can actually come onto a virtual platform and say, hey, I want to be a member of a virtual church, and you're actually doing some other things in other areas. Been reaching out to people outside of Charlotte, some people in Texas, some people
Wow.
New York, other places, and I'm like, Lord, more than, even though people here in Charlotte, they're receptive, but I've had a lot of people that's not even around me, that don't even know me, physically in person, but
Right. Right.
they're attracted to the message that's there. And so therefore I said, okay, God, well, maybe we can do something a little different. Let's stay in the vein where it's starting to be a little active there.
And you say it's an untraditional church. And so when people come to you, how do you stay true to yourself and stay true to your congregation? And how do you let them know that, hey, I'm just a man, just like, some of you are, and I'm just doing my best every day just to stay connected to the cross.
Well, at the end of the day, everyone that knows me, or those that do know me, I should say, I'm a jokey person. I love to laugh. I love to eat. I'm transparent, and I'm not that type of person that's unreachable.
Right,
So if I can meet you where you are, or talk to you, call me or whatever, and say, hey, I got something going on. I've never been that type of person to just be like, oh, let's gossip a little bit. I'm the type of person, let's but when you got a problem situation, let's drop everything, let's pray right now. you know
right, right, right,
I've always told people, even from the jump, if you're coming to join this church, this is the expectation. This is what's going to happen. This is how things are here. I'm not like
right,
every pastor. I'm not going to sit here and fuss at you over the podium. I'm not going to sit right here and get all mad because this is, I'm going to give you, the opportunity to have a relationship with God, and build a relationship with me, of course, as your pastor. But you
right,
want to mainly understand that, hey, we all are humans. We all do make mistakes, but
right.
don't continue to make the same mistakes and use as excuses and say, "Oh, God know my heart. Oh, God knows
And
I'm
we, yeah,
going. He gonna
yeah,
keep, or the same thing." No, we're gonna have a relationship and let God convict you. Not always saying, "Oh, a pastor is. I wonder if pastor gonna be mad at me about this." No, you need to worry if God's gonna be mad at you about
absolutely,
it.
absolutely, absolutely. And so you have a podcast. I watch your podcast too, and sometimes you do like you said, funny stuff. So how did your podcast come about? It came about when you birthed your entertainment company as well.
You talking about for the morning coffees?
Yeah, like when you have your people on there, y'all be sitting on the couch.
Couch Talk, yeah, Couch Talk.
Yeah,
We started. Oh Lord, Couch Talk was about 2 years now. Jesus, about 2 years. Uh, and so I started with at my other studio, and so we did it was because people kept giving topics, and we're like, we just had so many different strange topics, and it's not always churchy. That's the thing about, I had to tell people, even though we could talk about the Church of Jap Network, but we laugh about it. But
right,
I tell people, this is something for me to come down off of that pastoral, and you can talk to James and talk to James,
right, right,
um,
right,
and we can talk about certain things that's actually real life situations that's going on. It's funny, sometimes it's serious, sometimes, and sometimes we may be in a place of disagreement with each other, but at the end of the day, we can agree and still go back to work, acting like nothing ain't never happened.
right,
you
right,
know?
right, right,
So
right.
talk it's been phenomenal, because we can literally take a topic and say and dissect it, come from a man point of view, a woman's point of view, a couple's point of view, or a
Right.
view, or things of nature, and give different perspectives and have people talk have people say. So we'll have people write them in their comments, and we read it, and some of them be funny and jokey and stuff, so
And to me, that's part of ministry as well, because you know what? These are ordinary people dealing with real issues.
right, that's it.
And however you guys deliver it, it still can give them clarity as
Right,
well.
right, right. That's it. People are looking for clarity. They're not always wanting just a Bible answer. They want an answer. You talk to me. It, tell me, people talk about good morning. I would say good morning. They're like, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored in the
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
How you doing? Just say I'm good. I'm fine. I'm happy. Something.
But why we're so conditioned to say that, if I say good morning, just say good morning. I
Right.
mean, if you're living another day,
Right.
we already know you blessed because you're on this side.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So tell me about your entertainment company. And so I know you said that that's how it started from in your brokenness. And so now here you are, and you do so many things. You do plays, you have web series, you do charity drives, modeling, acting. And one thing that I really like, you said no physical or age requirement expected.
That's right. I started. It was started out as J Ancrum Productions, and that it started as a nonprofit, and so that's what we did. What I did was build a platform for people that never acted before, never modeled before, and I said, hey, well, let's start you there, and let's get you started. So I've had people in my actor roles, if you will, or as actresses, and that's never acted before, that has became my best actresses or our best actors.
Wow.
I remember there was a play. My first play I did was A Christmas Wish, and it sold out. It was to the point to where it was like cars were spewing out. We was trying to find chairs, to get people in there. And one of the girls that was there, and she said, James, she said, if I have never, I'm glad you brought me on this, because my family never saw me in this manner, and this
Wow.
now able for them to see me in a whole nother light. And she was my best actress. She's now a realtor. She's singing, doing all different things like that. I was like, I need you to come back. But
Right, right.
give a start is where where I started. So Janky Productions where we started, from just the stage plays, and then we added to the modeling side. And then when we started doing more for-profit stuff, I was like, well, we need to kind of change it up a little bit. And so that's what we
Right,
end up King J. Leon Entertainment, or Lion. We made Lion kind of funky looking.
right, right,
Uh,
right.
so the line of roaring and making a loud noise, and not a loud noise just to be seen, but making a sound off of pain has a sound, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Frustration has a sound. You know,
Yes,
happiness has a sound.
yes.
Whatever that sound is, you make it roar. And so
Right.
that's what we have. Why I started what I started. So we started adding into the podcast. We started adding into the TV shows, and we're trying to get the magazine situated. We've started doing, like, we kept modeling. We added MSK modeling, and we've merged together. Those model teams, and so it's a lot of stuff that we're getting out there and doing. And I tell people, we can say we doing stuff, but we got to actually do it. A lot of people talk
Right,
about it,
right.
but
Exactly. And,
but the main thing is just making a sound, to
right.
what's.
And so when you do your plays and your stage plays now, is it still from a place of reality, or how do you pick and choose how the script is going to be?
So they're still reality. They're not my reality, like it used to Jesus. Some of them say my mind is a little crazy. They got to pray for the pastor, Lord. But because I tell people my business is separate from the church. So what you may
Right,
get, not gonna get from the church. I'm still James. I'm still pastor at the end of the day.
right, right,
Uh, but I want to talk from, or get from, a place from that's really out there. Things that the church don't want to talk about. Stuff that people actually are dealing with nowadays. So I may hear somebody going through something, and I say, oh, that's a good play. Let me write on that. Or I may hear something that somebody may be dealing with, and I was like, okay, let me merge this with this over here, this situation over here, and then we get the web series, and I talk about this over here. Oh, that's a good movie. So there's a lot of stuff that I have, books of different stuff, pages of stuff, of ideas and titles and stuff that I haven't even written yet, but stuff now is just literally reality stuff that's putting into a fictional platform, but there's a message behind it of what you can do and look out for.
right. And so before we talk about your book, The Faith Study, what are things that the church feels is taboo that we should be talking about, that people are living every day?
So there's a lot of stuff that's taboo. They don't want to talk about, well, some churches now, it's more open now. Homosexuality is one that they don't want to talk about, but now they're talking about it a lot more. People are dealing with their flesh when it comes to sex, when it comes to their sexual drives. People
Mhm.
talking about, taboo. A lot of men, pastors, don't want to talk about their hurt, as we said earlier, things they're dealing
Right,
with. People, they're now, a lot of stuff that the church has minimized for years. And I do believe that's why a lot of people have left the church, because they have silenced so much stuff for so long.
Mhm. Mhm.
So where now it's like, well, I don't want to go to church because that pastor doing the same thing that he told me not to do, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of stuff that's there, and I do believe that's why I'm in the vein that I am in to write about it, because there are things that are taboo that people don't want to talk about, but you're dealing with it right at home. You know, when it look good, you shouting good after the shop music, praise music, then finish, you going home and you still mad with your husband. You still don't want to be around, or you still cheating. You know, you still in adultery, or you still,
Yeah. Yes.
sleep with somebody else over there. You still got 5 girlfriends, concubines.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there's still a
But
lot of.
do you think pastors, some pastors, not all, feel if they preach about this, like people would see as they're promoting it, where I see if we preach about it and we teaching it from the right way and not bashing them, then just maybe they will get delivered.
Yeah, there are some. I do believe, for me, I do believe that there's a difference in preaching and teaching. You know,
Right.
having a conversation. I was at one point where I was preaching, I was jumping on chairs, and I was hawking my sign and all this and all that. You know, I was once in that vein, but then when God actually had to calm me down, because
Right.
I'm a new kid on the block, I was just hype. I don't have that energy like I used to, Lord.
Right.
But to actually teach about it and talk about it, have a conversation. Hey, I'm actually dealing with something that I'm struggling with, and
Right.
to in a place of, some people are scared to be, some people are scared to be transparent because they don't want to be exposed for the stuff that they, So I do believe that if there is more of a conversation, or put it into a safe zone, to where there could be conversation. My overseer does um Real Talk, Real Woman, I believe it's called. Um,
Hmm.
so where she created a safe zone for women, and they talk about certain situations and sex and homosexuality, or dealing with how you deal when it comes to relationships, like, and they get raw. I haven't been there. I just heard about it. So, and so that creating those zones to have people, those conversations. Some of the old school preachers, they don't do that. It's more like, oh, this is what it's paid, this is what you're supposed to do. If you don't do it, you're going to hell. But
Right.
why go to hell? Tell me what is wrong about what I'm doing. Break it down into the desires. What am I feeling? What am I doing? The serpent knew just how to be cunning to Eve and
Right.
Adam. And so break down to me what is about me that's making that caused me to go after this fruit. What is it about? What's so cunning about? What did he say? How did he talk? How did he move? What was going on to make me feel enticed? And so we got to be open and honest about, hey, you're gonna have some desires, you're gonna have some things that you feeling, and you need to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so now you have a book coming up. Well, first, before your book, you have you're doing your urban couture fashion week.
Yes, yes, yes. We're doing that. Actually, we talked about that right before I got on. We did last year. We did Fashion on the Lake Week, and it was phenomenal. We took over Davidson. We brought a new flair to them because it was more of a Caucasian area. So we had a lot of mixture, diversity.
Right.
But we did a diverse group there in Davidson. This year we're doing Urban Couture Week, where, since we're not going to be on the lake, but we're doing that, and it's just a straight week of fashion, different designers, different models, networking. We had podcasting last year. We had actual where models got around and sat and talked. We tried to do photographers last year, but photographers actually got around and talking. We're actually talking about, hey, what's some struggles and some stuff out here? Why is it hard to work with these models? Why is it hard to work with these photographers? What's going on? Let's talk about it. And so that was a major thing that we wanted to. We want to be different from the other
Absolutely.
fashion week. So Michelle A. Washington was helped me, or we partnered with doing that, to pull it together to do the fashion week, and really bring out a lot of stuff that again, not talked about, not done.
Right. Right. And so you wrote a book.
Yeah.
It says this faith. It's the faith study.
Mhm.
And you published it in last year. And so now you're bringing it back on the scene.
Yes, yes. This Faith is my baby. That's the first book that I created, and I looked at it and I was like, with me being a motivational speaker now, I needed more content. So I was like, okay, we did a book called "In All Things I Do." Well, it was a planner, and so it was
Right.
like a year planner that we put together. And then I was like, I need something else. I need more. I need more. I need more. And so I thought about it. I said, let me go back to this book. And so I looked at something. I said, oh, I can add more to this. Oh, I can add more to that. And then, oh, I can add more to this. And I always tell a lot of preachers, I said, sometimes God may give you messages, give you a different message for the same scripture, so it may be a little
Right.
different. I added a lot more to this
Absolutely.
book, and really going through faith. When I wrote it, I was going through some hard times. Eventually, that first time I wrote it, I was going through some hard times, and I understood how to hold on to my faith to get through
Right.
some of the toughest times. And so, bringing it out again, I wanted to teach people to challenge their faith, to challenge,
Mm,
why is your faith lacking? Why is your faith minimized? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your faith? And that's the main outlook of this new book of this faith. Yeah.
so let me ask you that, since you're speaking of faith. So when you were going through your divorce and all this kind of stuff, did you ask yourself those same questions?
I did. I went, like I said, went through a lot of insecurities about myself. Why did this not work? Why was I going through this? What was going on? And I struggled because I heard, a lot of he said, she said. I heard, what people said, and people were coming back on what's going on about here. Some people in my church
Right.
said some stuff, done some things, and a couple people that I really trusted that really betrayed and really hurt me.
Right.
Um, you know, tell us they don't even know that they did. But I kept saying, God, this can't be your people. And I kept saying that, God, this can't be your and can on, and this just cannot be your people. And I said, God, this can't be you. And so my faith was tested. And my faith, I said, God, did you really call me to preach? Did you really call me to pastor?
Wow.
Who am I going to pastor after they hear all this other crazy stuff like this? But
Hmm.
God still kept a remnant. Thank you, Lord. Kept a remnant with me to help me and to encourage me to keep me going. So, Pastor, we still got you. A lot of people left, but yet we still had some people, new faces that came and joined and said, Pastor, we got you. They didn't hear stuff, they heard some stuff. They said, but despite of it all, God sent me here. And I told him, I said, well, if God sent you here, what's the reason why God put you here? Why are you here? Not here based
Right.
on he looked like he going through. Don't go by what I'm going through. Go,
Exactly.
Lord. And yeah,
And,
faith.
and so and so now here you are. So, and you don't have to answer it. So have you and your ex like just made amends and everybody is good?
Eh, it's a
Okay.
struggle. It's a
Okay.
we're co-parenting to the point to where we're making sure that the kids are okay.
Amen.
That's the main thing, because we wanted to make sure that the kids have not been affected. Of course, children are going to be
Yeah.
affected. Uh,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, we tell them, hey, this is not your fault. Mom
Right.
loves you. Even
Hmm.
and we're not together at the moment, or we may never get back together. We may never get back remarried.
Right.
I had a
Right.
conversation with them the other day. I was like, what y'all think if Daddy got married again? What y'all think if Daddy had another? We had these conversations, and so they're and the responses from them, that they're okay, is the main thing of what I want to make sure that out of all of this, my babies are my heart, my
Yeah.
the I live is to make sure that they are okay through it all.
Absolutely.
Something that I've done, if Daddy has hurt you, if there's something that Daddy might have said, I
Right.
want to make sure that I apologize to them at the end of the day.
Wow.
To say,
Yeah.
hey, Daddy might have hurt you in this, or Daddy made this over here. What's going on over here? So yeah.
Yeah. And and that's very important because when I went through my divorce with my kid's father, that was one thing that I told them too. We love you all. It doesn't change that, but it's just that mommy and daddy
Right,
cannot do this.
right,
We love each other, but
right,
we just can't be together because we're not good for each other.
right, right. At the end,
And that's so important, and and I think that would help your children grow even the more, to let them know that, hey, parents miss the mark sometimes.
That's it.
You know, we miss the mark and we don't always get it right. And you know, and I even tell my kids sometimes I missed the mark several times, you know, with you guys growing up, because you know, you take a little bit of what you was raised, then you know, you put your little flavor on, then you try to bring it together, and sometimes it just don't mix, but you
Right,
do the best that you can.
right. That's it.
You do the best that you can. And so what is for Jay next? Like where do you I mean, where do you see yourself in the next couple of months?
Well, I don't want to work on my job like I was. I love my job, but I don't want. I want to be able to work hard in what I love to do. I do photography as well. I love to,
Right.
and of course, I put together a motivational tour, hopefully starting in September, and just traveling to different cities, and just giving the message out there. And so I want to be able to say, hey, it's not about the fame; it's about the message that
Right.
James
Right.
Day is giving to help somebody to heal, to get somebody motivated. I was just a lot of coaches I've been talking to the past couple of weeks. You know, they've challenged me with the question, said, James, what's your message? And I'm like, I'm telling them what the message is I'm giving, what this. They said, but you need a solid message of whatever it is that you need to that whatever it is to help somebody. The other people they talk about their message of, you know, you can be a mom and you know, you can have a business. And then somebody said, you know, you go from losing a job and going this. But for James, the messages to the people for me is that you want to build from those memories, and even if it was a hard memory, you
Mm-hmm.
still build and be better than what you used to be. And that's going to be the message for James, that's going to bring out. So through my photography, through my writing, through the motivational speaking and all that I do. So I'm excited. I'm ready for the tour. I'm ready for doing some on another level is the main thing of not just
Yeah.
staying in Charlotte. I want to travel, go different places and see other areas, write more books. Have another one I'm working on, have a couple things. So I want to be out there with the message, not just with James, but with the message.
And you know, and I think too, your message of healing from a brokenness is a message, especially for men,
Yeah,
because a lot of times men don't want, you know, like we said earlier, men don't want to admit that they're being broken, you know, wherever the situation may be, you know, they just don't want to. And for you to say, hey, I missed the mark, you know, my marriage failed and I was a pastor,
right. That's
but I
it.
still had to keep my faith. But you came out saying, I'm broken. This is the face of being broken. I still had to trust God. I still trust him, even though I didn't know what it looked like.
Mhm. That's it. That's it.
But then you can help other men.
That's it.
And so then when they come to the light and allow God to dig deep into their souls, then they won't bring their brokenness to some other person.
That's right. That's it.
You know, whether it's a woman in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, they won't bring those brokenness, because then you have these broken pieces you're trying to put together and they don't fit.
That's it. That's the main thing. That's the main
They
thing.
they they, they don't fit. But I am so glad that we got the chance to do this interview. I haven't seen you. It's been like, ooh,
So years.
yes, it's been some years. But do you ever get to see Lee?
This been a couple years since I seen him.
Yeah.
The last time I think I saw him, I think he was at a video shoot. It was a while, years ago. But I see him every now and then on Facebook. I see Dion every now and then on Facebook as well.
Yes, yes.
Failure's
Yeah.
not.
It's
Um,
very
so,
not an
so
option.
so definitely, it's good. I want to definitely want to get back connected with a lot of people. Um,
Yes.
as I said, not keep bringing back up divorce, but once I came out of hiding or came
Mhm.
getting healed, so it's now like, okay, I can get back and network and not be
Yeah.
scared who gonna reject me and all the other stuff. So yeah,
And you know what? And the beauty of it is, when you went through your divorce, like you said, you had to take a sabbatical, you had to take a step back. But now that God has said, I give you the green light,
right,
I've
right.
healed you, now it's time for you to go out, because now you have to do my work.
That's it. That's it. That's
And
it.
you don't have to be ashamed. You can be honest, open, and transparent and say, yep, yep, I was divorced. You're absolutely right. I was a pastor being divorced. Yep, you're absolutely right. And not have to feel shame or feel like, ooh, in the inside, how, you know, whatever. Well, yeah, this happened.
That's it. That's it. That's
It's
it.
life. Life happens. So
Yes, yes.
You just move on. You just move on. But it's so
Oh,
good to see you.
yes.
Thank you for just joining our platform tonight.
Thank you so much. Keep up the work. Keep up.
Oh,
Keep
thank you. I will. It's nothing but God, because you know me. I've always been quiet, and so
yes,
this is truly a step out of my comfort zone. But God is still doing amazing things with it. When He told me to do it, didn't know where it was going to go, but it has truly been a blessing.
wonderful, wonderful. Excited. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Well, thank you. You look. This is the first time I had somebody like be riding and doing their podcast.
We got together. We got
So,
time.
yeah, so thank you, and just
Thank
have a great week.
you.
Continue to be great. Continue to just, pour into people and just be who you are.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right. Talk
Thank
soon.
you. All right, bye. Guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor. I hope you have enjoyed me and Jay's talk. We talked about being in a broken place. We talked about divorce. We talked about so many different things, guys. But just one thing you realize, that whatever you're going through, just know that God is always with you. He will keep you going no matter what it looks like. Trust him, trust the process, trust the plan. But most of all, allow him to dig deep within your soul to fix those broken places that you don't want people to know that are broken. And it's okay, because when you're broken, he can put you back together again. People can't put you back together again. Your friends can't put you back together again. Your job can't put you back together again. The only person that can put you back together from the inside out is Christ, and only Christ. I love you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing, amazing weekend. I will be back next week, if the Lord's will, for another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. You can reach us by inboxing us if you have a story, or you know someone that have a story. Because here on Hot Topics with Donna, we interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their communities. And on that note, guys, you also can find us on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Thank you guys for coming on week after week, sharing our videos. I love you. You guys be blessed. Good night.